Okay, so let's dive into this. This feeling that the peace we're all kind of chasing, that solid ground. It might actually be right here in these moments we just rush through all the time. It feels a bit upside down, doesn't it? Like searching for treasure way over there when maybe it's right under our feet.
It is a gentle paradox, isn't it?
Yeah.
This seeking outside ourselves for what really lives within. In the quiet landscape of the present, it's like trying to stool a lake's surface so you can see the moon reflected clearly. When our minds calm down, they reveal a much deeper clarity.
Yeah, and it's something, well, something I definitely know, and I bet everyone listening feels it too, that constant hum in the background. You're trying to focus on, what's right in front of you, but suddenly, bam, you're thinking about an email for tomorrow or dwelling on something from last week you just can't shake. It almost feels like the default setting.
Mhm. The ancient wisdom traditions, they often speak of this, like a restless energy. They sometimes call it the monkey mind thoughts, just swinging wildly from branch to branch. It's pretty fundamental to being human, this tendency to wander, to grasp at the past or lean way into the future, often missing the ground right here.
Right. So, what we really want to get into in this deep dive is how intentionally pulling ourselves back to this moment, kind of dropping that mental baggage of what was and what might be, how that can actually cut through all that noise. We're looking at how this simple act can bring real focus, maybe dial down that feeling of being completely swamped, and maybe even help us, see those little sparks of wonder in everyday stuff that we usually just bulldoze past.
Precisely. It's about anchoring our awareness,
Yeah.
right here, right now, in what's actually unfolding. When we do that, we start to gently unravel those tangled threads of mental preoccupation. It's really an invitation, isn't it? To rediscover how rich each breath is, each sensation. Things often veiled by our mind's constant chatter about what isn't here.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting for me. Picture a river. It just flows, right? It doesn't get stuck on the bends. It's already rounded, and it doesn't seem to worry about the rapids coming up. But our minds, like they get snagged on every little twig, swirling in these eddies of memory or, future planning.
Yes, what's fascinating is that natural rhythm the river embodies.
Mm-hmm.
It's this continuous movement, always within the present. Our minds, though, well, if left without some gentle guidance, they often resist this flow. They get entangled in the, shall we say, the still waters of yesterday or the imagined currents of tomorrow.
It makes you realize all that mental jumping back and forth, it isn't just a little distracting, it actually takes a toll, a real toll. It's like we're constantly burning energy on scenarios that aren't even happening right now, which naturally leaves us feeling drained, less able to actually be present and, truly engage with life.
That's a very profound insight. This scattering of our mental energy, it absolutely depletes our vitality. It leaves us feeling fragmented, less capable of experiencing the sheer vibrancy of the present. It obscures our inner clarity and, well, it diminishes our sense of peace.
To really bring this home, there's this powerful little story that comes to mind about someone feeling totally overwhelmed, just snowed under. They go to a wise teacher and say, "My mind is always racing, pulled in a million directions. How do I find any stillness?"
Ah, yes. And the teacher, rather than launching into some complex philosophy, simply hands the person an empty bowl and asks them to slowly, very carefully, fill it with water. Then the instruction was just walk. Walk without spilling a single drop.
Exactly, and that image of the smilled water, it becomes such a vivid picture of a scattered mind, right? And that single focus, keeping the bowl steady, it becomes this immediate, tangible way to practice being right here. The teacher's unspoken message just rings so clearly. Look, when your mind overflows with distractions, it spills the very peace you're looking for. Focus on this moment, this step.
What resonates so deeply for me in that simple interaction is, well, it's simplicity. There's no judgment there, is there? No criticism of the restless mind. Just a compassionate invitation to cultivate a gentle focus. What stands out for you in that?
For me, it's how it completely bypasses all the intellectual stuff. It's not about understanding some complicated theory. It's about this incredibly direct, almost physical task as a way to train the mind. It makes this whole idea of mindfulness, of being present, feel so grounded, so accessible. It's about training ourselves to just be here, now, instead of living somewhere else in our heads. And for you listening, maybe you recognize that feeling, your mind being elsewhere.
And it's worth noting, this isn't just some ancient idea locked away in texts. Contemporary understanding of the mind, modern psychology and neuroscience, increasingly recognizes the benefits of this kind of focused awareness, practices that cultivate presence. They've been shown to ease stress, sharpen attention, and even foster greater creativity. It's a way of building inner resilience, really, enabling us to navigate life's inevitable storms with a bit more steadiness.
It's truly fascinating how these time-honored insights are being validated now by modern research. It makes you think this isn't just some nice-sounding philosophy. It's actually a practical skill, something we can all develop, with real, tangible benefits for how we feel and how we move through the world. Think about those moments when you're totally absorbed in something, a conversation, maybe a task you really enjoy. That's a natural taste of presence, isn't it?
And if we connect this to the broader idea of how we navigate our lives, our aspirations, this cultivation of focused attention is key. True progress, meaningful engagement, it often arises not from frantic multitasking, but from a deep immersion in the task at hand.
That almost flips our usual way of thinking on its head, doesn't it? We often equate being busy with being productive. Juggling a million things seems like the path to getting ahead. But what we're exploring here suggests that actually, that deep, unwavering focus, that being fully present with whatever we're doing, that's far more effective. So I guess the question is, why do we find it so hard? Why is it such a challenge to just be present?
Well, this points to something quite fundamental about our human wiring, perhaps. Our minds, in their vigilance, are naturally drawn to scanning the horizon, metaphorically speaking, looking for what might be coming, potential threats, potential opportunities. This inherent survival mechanism constantly pulls us away from the immediate moment, pulls us into the realm of possibilities, both real and sometimes imagined.
That makes total sense from an evolutionary standpoint. Our ancestors needed to be constantly alert, scan the environment. But today, in our world, that same ingrained wiring can sometimes lead us down these rabbit holes, worrying, ruminating, causing us to miss the very life that's unfolding right in front of us now.
Precisely. We become so absorbed in the narratives, the stories we tell ourselves about what could be or what was, that we have very little capacity left to fully inhabit and appreciate what is. This is where that conscious, gentle effort to cultivate awareness becomes so vital, so necessary, really.
And the wisdom we're exploring here offers such a kind approach to this whole thing. It's not about suddenly being able to silence the mind completely. I mean, that probably isn't even possible, right? It's more about simply noticing when it wanders off on its little adventures. And then gently, without any self-criticism, bringing it back to the here and now. Even something as simple as focusing on your breath for just a few moments can be a really powerful anchor.
Yes, what is so valuable is this emphasis on non-judgment. When the mind inevitably drifts, and it will change, the practice is merely to acknowledge that movement and softly redirect our attention, much like you might gently guide a wandering child back home. This patient persistence, that's the essence of the practice.
It's like tending a garden, isn't it? You don't get angry at the weeds for growing. You just simply, consistently tend to them, remove them gently. And the more you gently bring your attention back to the present, the stronger that ability becomes. Even those seemingly ordinary moments like the warmth of a cup in your hands or the sound of the wind outside, they can become little doorways to a deeper sense of peace if we're truly present to them.
This speaks to the understanding that presence isn't about escaping from our experience, but actually about fully immersing ourselves in it.
Yeah.
It's about turning our attention towards the richness that is already here, often overlooked in our hurriedness.
It's like turning down the volume on all that background noise of our thoughts and really tuning into the subtle symphony of this moment, where every sensation, every fleeting thought just becomes part of the experience. And when we truly listen, the melody of life can be so much more vibrant, more meaningful than we often realize. So maybe as you're listening right now, just take a breath and notice what's here for you in this moment. Just notice.
This invitation to pause, to notice, is so important. It encourages us to consider the possibility of a different way of relating to our experience altogether. The flow of time continues, doesn't it? Regardless of our awareness. The choice really lies in whether we allow ourselves to be carried away by the currents of our thoughts, or if we consciously choose to anchor ourselves in the stillness of the present moment.
Okay, so we've talked a fair bit about this idea of anchoring ourselves in the present through, mindfulness, but there's this other really interesting principle that often seems to go hand in hand with it, the idea of right effort. It sort of suggests that if mindfulness is about knowing where we are, right effort is about how we intentionally move forward from there. What exactly does that look like in practice?
At its heart, right effort is about a conscious and ongoing cultivation. It's the practice of nurturing the seeds of what brings benefit, wholesome states, you might say, and gently weeding out what causes harm or suffering, both within ourselves and, importantly, in our interactions with the world. It's about intention in action, really, moment by moment.
So it's less about striving for some kind of unattainable perfection, and maybe more about making those small, deliberate choices in each moment, like that image of noticing a negative thought popping up, and then consciously choosing to shift your focus towards something more positive, like gratitude or kindness. That seems to capture it, doesn't it?
Precisely. It's this consistent moment-to-moment redirection that begins, slowly, to reshape our habitual patterns, our patterns of thinking and behaving. It's a subtle shift, but it can lead to a profound transformation that ripples through our inner landscape and also our relationships with others.
And there's another lovely little story that kind of illustrates this. It's about someone who was feeling really impatient, constantly wanting things to happen faster. And their teacher gave them the task of just slowly, deliberately sweeping the courtyard, emphasizing the importance of each single movement.
What's insightful there is how an ordinary task, something simple like sweeping, when it's approached with mindful attention and deliberate effort, becomes a practice in patience, a practice in presence. The focus isn't just on getting the courtyard clean, is it? It's on the quality of the attention brought to each sweep. This cultivates a different kind of energy, a more grounded and less reactive way of being.
It really highlights that right effort isn't just about big, grand gestures. It's about bringing that same level of intention and care to even the smallest things we do, whether it's really listening when someone speaks or, preparing a simple meal. And when we do that, even the mundane can become infused with a sense of purpose.
This resonates deeply with the understanding that our inner state and our outer actions are profoundly interconnected. By cultivating wholesome qualities within ourselves through this right effort, we naturally bring more of that goodness, that quality, into the world around us.
So thinking practically now, how can we actually start to bring these ideas, mindfulness and right effort, into our own daily lives in a way that feels, manageable and not just another thing on the to-do list? One gentle way seems to be just weaving moments of awareness into the routines we already have.
Yes, this is a very accessible starting point. Perhaps choosing a regular activity, maybe that first sip of your morning coffee or tea, or the walk from your house to your car, and just committing to bringing your full attention, just for those few moments, to the sensations involved. You begin to cultivate that mindful awareness without necessarily needing to add another demanding task to your day.
Right. Another approach could be trying to reframe the challenges that inevitably pop up. Not seeing them as just obstacles to be avoided at all costs, but maybe as opportunities. Opportunities, however small, to learn something or to grow.
This shift in perspective is a direct application of right effort, isn't it? Instead of getting caught up in negativity or feeling defeated by a difficulty, we consciously choose to look for the lesson within it, to look for the hidden strength that can perhaps be cultivated even within that difficulty.
And a third gentle practice, which feels really important, is to actively cultivate feelings of kindness and goodwill, both towards ourselves, which can be hard sometimes, and towards others. Even just taking a few moments intentionally to wish ourselves and others well, that can have a surprisingly powerful effect, can't it?
Absolutely. This practice directly nurtures those wholesome qualities we spoke of earlier. By intentionally directing thoughts of warmth and compassion, we not only soothe our own hearts, but also strengthen our connection to the shared human experience.
And it feels so important to remember that this is all a gentle unfolding. It's not some race to be won. There will be days when our minds feel more scattered than others, and that's just perfectly okay. The key seems to be just keep returning again and again, with kindness and without judgment.
That's right. The aim isn't necessarily to eradicate distractions entirely. There's likely an unrealistic goal for most of us, but rather to develop a greater awareness of them so that we can make conscious choices about how we respond. With patience and with gentle persistence, these small efforts, they really can lead to profound shifts in how we experience our lives.
And it just reminds me that every single moment, even the ones that seem completely ordinary, totally mundane, holds a kind of hidden gift. But we so often miss it when we're caught up replaying the past or rehearsing the future. By leaning into mindfulness and this idea of right effort, we can actually step out of that endless cycle of striving and maybe, just maybe, tap into a deeper sense of ease, maybe even joy, right here, right now.
It is a potent reminder, isn't it, that the present moment is not just a narrow passage between what was and what will be. It's a vibrant space full of potential, and by consciously inhabiting it, we reclaim our capacity to shape our experience from the inside out.
Now, The wisdom we're exploring also touches on this really beautiful idea of what you might call the ripple effect of presence. It paints this picture of a still pond, and you drop a single pebble in, and the ripples just spread out, touching the entire surface. It suggests that when we choose to be fully present in our own lives, it creates these subtle but powerful ripples that extend far beyond just our own experience, influencing our thoughts, our actions, and maybe even the world around us. And it emphasizes that these ripples come directly from that intentional effort and awareness we've been discussing.
That image captures the interconnectedness of all things so beautifully. Our inner state of being, that quiet presence we cultivate within ourselves, it's not an isolated phenomenon at all. It has a radiating quality that subtly shapes our interactions, our environment, everything around us.
It then gently questions this ingrained belief many of us carry that success is always something out there, in the future. Something we'll finally get after enough struggle and hard work. It kind of asks, well, what if a deeper kind of success is actually available right now, waiting to be discovered in the small moments of our daily lives?
This invites a profound reconsideration of our conventional notions of achievement, doesn't it? Thinking of it only as some distant destination. The ancient wisdom often speaks about releasing our attachment to specific outcomes, suggesting that by focusing only on the future, we risk overlooking the inherent value and perhaps even the quiet joy that can be found in the present unfolding itself.
Exactly. It's like when we're constantly fixated on some future reward, we might inadvertently trade away the richness of today for a promise that, well, it may or may not materialize exactly as we picture it. And in that whole process, we might miss out on so much of the actual living that's happening right now.
Mindfulness offers a different path here, to savor the journey itself. Each step, each conscious effort becomes meaningful in its own right, and challenges. They're seen not merely as obstacles blocking a future goal, but as opportunities. Opportunities for learning and growth along the way. In this sense, a deeper form of success becomes not a singular endpoint, but a continuous flow of mindful engagement with life as it is.
And it brings to mind the idea that lasting change, real change, often comes not from these huge dramatic shifts, but from the small, consistent actions we take right now, in the present. It's about showing up fully, even in the seemingly mundane stuff, and trusting that those small ripples of intention will eventually lead to something greater. Now, moving from these ideas to some more maybe tangible ways we can cultivate this presence. One powerful practice is to really embrace the truth of impermanence. This understanding that everything in life, without exception, is constantly changing.
Ah, yes, the awareness of impermanence. It's a core tenet in many wisdom traditions, and it can be both, well, sobering and also profoundly liberating. By accepting the ever-shifting nature of reality, we can begin to loosen our grip on the need for things to stay the same, and learn to flow with the natural rhythms of life with perhaps a little more ease.
And in the context of cultivating presence, it suggests that instead of constantly trying to control everything, which is exhausting, right? We can learn to meet uncertainty with a greater sense of acceptance. If we're feeling anxious, for example, we can acknowledge that feeling without letting it completely take over, reminding ourselves gently that this too, like everything else, will eventually pass.
This acceptance of the transient nature of our experience, it frees up a great deal of mental and emotional energy. It really does. By not clinging so tightly to how we want things to be or resisting how they actually are, we create more space. Space for a calmer, more focused engagement with the present reality, whatever it holds.
Another really beautiful practice is to cultivate what's often called beginner's mind. It's about approaching life, even the things we think we know inside out, with a sense of fresh curiosity, like seeing them for the very first time.
Reclaiming that childlike wonder can be truly transformative. As we move through life, we tend to operate on assumptions, on ingrained patterns of thought, and these can inadvertently blind us to new possibilities, or blind us to the inherent beauty that still resides even in the familiar. Beginner's mind encourages us to gently set aside those preconceptions, those labels, and just perceive the world with open and receptive eyes.
It suggests that whether we're learning something new or having a conversation with someone we know really well, or even just taking a familiar walk down the street, we can ask ourselves, what might I notice here that I haven't seen before? It feels like a way to infuse more vibrancy, more aliveness into our everyday experiences.
This open, inquisitive approach fosters not only a deeper appreciation for life itself, but it also cultivates greater creativity, adaptability, and resilience, too.
Yeah.
By seeing things anew, we become more receptive to learning and less likely to be constrained by rigid ways of thinking.
And a third powerful technique, which I really like, is to truly savor moments of gratitude as they arise in real time. Not just, thinking about what we're grateful for at the end of the day, which is good too, but actually noticing and appreciating those little moments of goodness as they happen.
Yes, this shift from reflecting on gratitude later to actively experiencing it in the present moment. It has a profound effect on our overall well-being. By consciously recognizing small acts of kindness may be received, may be observed moments of beauty, simple comforts as they occur, we cultivate a more positive and resilient inner landscape.
And it's even been shown, hasn't it, that this kind of real-time gratitude can actually boost our sense of well-being, lower stress levels, and maybe even more beautifully, it tends to make us more inclined to be kind and compassionate towards others too, creating that outward ripple effect we were talking about earlier.
Indeed. Gratitude, when it's truly felt in the moment, it not only enriches our own lives, but also contributes, subtly, to a more positive and interconnected world around us. It's a potent reminder of how our inner state profoundly influences our outer reality.
So as we gently bring this deep dive towards a close, it feels important to maybe consider the bigger picture for a moment. How does this commitment to living with more presence extend beyond just our own individual peace or well-being? It suggests that when we consciously choose presence, we're actually contributing something valuable to the collective, to the human experience. Every act of kindness, every intentional word spoken, every clear and thoughtful decision, it sends these subtle ripples outward.
This speaks again to that deep interconnectedness of all beings. Our individual choices, especially when they're rooted in presence and clear intention, they have a cumulative effect, subtly shaping the larger world in ways that we might not always immediately perceive. But the effect is there.
It brings to mind that beautiful teaching, peace in oneself, peace in the world. The idea that by nurturing that inner stillness through presence, we naturally radiate that outwards. And we contribute in our own small way to a more harmonious world around us.
That wisdom reminds us that the important work of creating a more peaceful world really begins within each of us. The cultivation of inner peace through mindful presence. It's not a passive act at all. It's actually a powerful force for positive change.
But it also underscores that you don't need to be, some spiritual leader or a big public figure to have this kind of impact. Not at all. Every single time we choose to meet a moment with presence instead of distraction, with connection instead of isolation, with understanding instead of judgment, we are actively contributing to a more compassionate, more aware world. Our presence truly matters.
It is a powerful reminder that our everyday choices, the ones that seem small, maybe even insignificant, they carry a weight of influence, an influence that extends far beyond our individual experience. By embodying presence, we become quiet agents of positive transformation.
So as we conclude our time together today, maybe just take a quiet moment, let these ideas settle in. Mindfulness.
Right.
It isn't some abstract concept just for mountaintop retreats, is it? It's a fundamental way of being that connects us to the very heart of life. By gently anchoring ourselves in the present, we unlock this incredible source of inner strength, of wisdom, and maybe even a quiet joy.
The present moment is indeed a boundless wellspring, full of potential. By choosing to reside fully within it, we open ourselves to a deeper understanding of ourselves and of the intricate beauty of the world around us.
Remember, this very moment, it's your superpower. It really is. It's the only space where you can truly live, truly connect, truly create. So the next time you feel that familiar pull of overwhelm or that sense of being adrift, just pause, take a breath, feel your feet on the ground. You are here. You are inherently whole. And with that simple presence, you have the power not just to chase after some distant idea of fulfillment, but to actually embody a deeper, more authentic sense of success right now. May you carry this gentle awareness with you as you continue your own unique exploration.
And may your path unfold with the quiet wisdom and the transformative power of a deeply felt presence.